Pleasant afternoon to you. The program is Nigeria Now, where we look at issues and also happenings that are happening in Nigeria. Presently, we're seeing that that of the appeal court, the issue of the Nasarawa State gubernatorial election. Presently, right now, a lot of people are waiting as the Supreme Court have reserved the judgment. So we will recall earlier in the morning we saw where they were meant to sign a peace accord between the APC and the PDP. And also we've seen that the FCT minister talking about Nyesom Wike have called for an emergency meeting in regards to the issue of the insecurity that is happening in the capital. So you do well to sit tight as we take you down through all the issues that are happening in Nigeria. I am Stella Elisha Dashima. I'll do the program alongside Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon, Rachel. All right, we have a number of things we actually love to talk about. So we would love you to drop your own views and your comment on our Facebook and YouTube handle so that we can also know what you feel about the issues that are happening in Nigeria. And we would love to start with the report coming from the NBS, where we are seeing that our inflation rate has actually gotten to as high as 28.9. So if you are to round it up, you can most likely say that it's about 29%, close to almost 80%. We're seeing that this is as a result of increasing transportation, food prices, goods and services, and a number of things have actually affected the reason why we're having that. Because if you look at the last figure was about 28.2, and right now it's about 28.9. So quite a number of things actually look at it, and poverty, hunger in the land as a result of that. So Rachel, looking at this, I mean, I know it's all the business news, but we just cannot help but talk about it because it will eventually touch one way or the other. Because if we are having inflation, that is to say that the ration of food people be eating, Rachel, will drastically drop.
It will.
I remember you and I at the time look at the ratio. So for some people that will be having breakfast and they're not having lunch and they'll be having dinner, we're seeing that right now it's going to drop to maybe just breakfast or just lunch or maybe possibly just dinner. The number of people that will be trekking to work or to school is going to increase because with the way things are looking, we're seeing that the first half of the year is going to be very tough. I mean, we remember what the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria were saying as a result of the hike in prices, some of the products they need to actually, make things. They're saying that everything has increased. I mean, so if the last 2 months, in November, maybe you actually bought a shoe for like 2,000 naira, believe you me, right now it's about 5,000 naira. And that is telling that the prices of goods have actually skyrocketed. So I don't know, we just have to look for a way to live above the waters of all of these things that are happening, and before we know it will be 30%, just like you said. So I just want to hear your own views. I know that eventually when we go to the business angle, we'll love to dive more deeper into it, but let's just stay on the surface for the benefit of this show.
I mean, Stella, whether we like it or not, it's inflation, right? And when you look at it, it's a problem. And even if we don't go to the business side of it, it's a problem. And that's why we're here to try it out and to let Nigerians understand how it directly affects us. We see a company like Cadbury selling 402 million shares to settle a debt that they couldn't finish of $7.7 million. And this is as a result of them not having access to raw materials, and then the devaluing of the currency, and then every other factor that we are seeing foreign companies, multinationals leaving the country because of the harsh economic situation currently in the country. So for that reason, we have been talking about inflation. We won't stop. And the reason we talk about it is for Nigerians to brace themselves for more reduced standard of living. Because whether you like it or not, well, perhaps if we go on just one meal, we might starve. So people will now, is the portion now, is the quality of the food, is the quantity, is all of that at stake. Because whether we like it or not, most of the countries, companies living are food production companies. These are manufacturers that are in consumable good. So now what it means is that rather than having some of these produced in the country, we will not depend solely on the ones imported. Majority of what we eat will be what is imported into the country. And then whether we like it or not, with our currency devaluation, we will keep seeing a soar in the prices of food in the market. And then we are seeing that even the prices of the fuel pump price is as it is but then other factors are still in play. So whether fuel pump price, for example, remains the same, we will keep seeing this, and then it automatically means that the standard of living will keep going low. Now, for me, the major concern here is when it comes to inflation, before we can say we are doing better, it's not just for it to remain. We don't want it to stop at 28.9, Sele. We want it to go down, to drop. We want to go back to, it's still high, but having a measure of sugar at 1,000 naira is still very, very high. We want to go back to having a measure of rice 700 naira. It's still very high, but this is when we can say, you know what, because we saw earlier today where the president is saying that there will be an economic turnaround, the policies put in place will start yielding results
and all of that.
Exactly. And the result we want to see is the standard of living improving. Now, if inflation should remain at this, we are still having a very poor standard of living. So the good economy will be this number, this 28.9% going down. We want it to go back to as low as 15%, because let it stop increasing, let's start going down, and eventually maybe in minus. I know this might sound ridiculous because we are having a global inflation, but we have countries at 7% and they are crying, and we are at 28.9%. So just imagine, these are countries that are better than us economically, complaining, and we are worse than them economically, and we are at 28.9. So we should, by these numbers, we already know that, I mean, our standard of living is just in the gutter. If we would tell ourselves the truth, it's nothing to write home about. So this is the economic boost I am looking forward to, that inflation drops totally, and not just remain where it is, but it should go down completely.
You know, Rachel, we can actually see, I mean, one of the reasons again would be ever since we have the removal of the fuel subsidy.
Yes.
I mean, and then in July we're seeing where the president said that they should declare state of emergency on food security, so we can have more food. And then early in the morning, you remember, we also saw the paper where they say it's not just it's the problem here is not about us importing, but then we are not exporting anything.
Yes.
And then we can also take it down to the issue of, at a point in time, the naira was also scarce, even though it wasn't biting as hard as it was. And if you were going to compare December 2023 with that of December 2022, you recall that in December 2022, we actually saw that there was a drop, and then it was surprising to a lot of Nigerians. But then the reverse is the case, when Nigerians were expecting maybe, but then we saw it actually that, I mean, you know what, December 2023 wasn't going to be friendly to anybody. True. So right now our fingers will just be crossed, just like you said. We are hoping that it will drop, but I don't know. I don't know what the government is doing. I just hope that part of the conversation that is going on presently in the World Economic Forum is part of how we can actually control this. And then it's not just about having the talks over there, but then we'll see various leaders coming down to their own various countries to say, you know what, let us put certain measures in place to make sure that our inflation rate will be controlled. And I think we also have to look at our exchange rate. It has a way, whether we like it or not, it has affected the inflation rate, because how much is a dollar to a naira right now? So I mean, this conversation is just a lengthy one, but then we just hope that we'll see better way. Now, still looking at the issue of things, we're seeing that PDP presidential candidate in person of Atiku is actually blaming poverty for the reason why we're having a rise in insecurity. We will recall that, I mean, during the weekend, we had where about certain people were being kidnapped. I mean, they were kidnapped 7th of January, but then we saw when Nabiha was being killed, and then we also have Kola Shade that was also killed as well. And then right now we're seeing that even the kidnappers have increased the ransom from 100 million to 700 million. And we're seeing Atiku is blaming poverty as a reason why we are having this increase. But somebody would like to ask, of course, yes, you can say hunger and poverty, because as it is presently right now, these terrorists are becoming more richer than certain people richer, because you just have to look for a way around. Resources are even very, very minimal. So how then do you get to put these resources together to be able to send it to these kidnappers? Now, we're being told that for that of Kola Shadi, the reason why she was being kidnapped was, instead of sending 60 million naira, the only thing the family could come up with was 7 million naira. And the kidnappers got provoked. And then we could go back to even that of Nabiha's family, whereby They were only able to raise just a few million naira. And we know that as we speak presently, about 5 of the sisters are still back there. So people do not even have a picture of what really is happening. But then we can even go down to even those in Zamfara, go down to Kaduna, and a number of people who have been kidnapped. And then it looks more like, you know what, these bandits are having a soil day. They're having a good time in
Yeah.
FCT. And that is why they're doing what they're doing. And we think that in my opening, you will recall, I said that the minister of FCT have actually called for an emergency. He's telling the resident of FCT, you know what, you guys should relax. But it's not just about the FCT, Rachel. Right now, it's more like a nationwide problem.
It is.
Because if you chase them from Plateau State, they use the route and then they are in Nasarawa State. You chase them from Kaduna, they look for another route and they're in Niger State. And so this is how these things keep going. They use the mountain tops, they use the bushes, they use the rivers. So right now it's more like, what can the government do? Because it's just one thing for you to say we are on top of the matter. But when some of the results we're seeing does not look like you're on the matter, then it means that a lot of work needs to be going on there. And this is what the former vice president, also the presidential candidate of the PDP, say in relation to this issue.
Yes, Sele. I mean, when you look at the statistics, Sele, crime is very, very less in the rich countries. I'm not talking about the big economies. No, you can be a big economy, doesn't mean you're the richest. We have that. Crime is very, very less in economies that are doing well, in countries that their GDP per capita is high, in countries where there is high employment, in countries where the government takes care of its citizens, in countries where education is free, in country where once you have a solid educational background, you for sure do have to get a job. In countries where there are no underemployment, where there is no extortion, crime is less. So which automatically qualifies this statement that poverty is truly the reason behind insecurity. Now there are many factors at play because it kept on taking a new form. Now this is beyond politics because we can go back with what happened with the Boko Haram terrorists, how there have been rumors, speculations, conspiracy concerning having machineries that now can go back and are resulting into things like kidnapping. But now we are having people who were armed robbers now into kidnapping because it pays more. Because gone are the days, traders don't travel with millions anymore in their bags to go and buy. You get it? So of course it's no longer profitable armed robbery. And then what is the next profitable thing is kidnapping. Now when we look at how things are going, even with the way they ask for ransom, you know that it has become a trade for them. When you look at how much ransom is being asked in places like Plateau, they are, sitting down, doing the demographics of the people in Plateau and saying, okay, you know what, 10 million is reasonable for people in Plateau State.
Yeah.
But when they go to the FCT,
it's expected
they're asking for hundreds of millions. So this looks like a business because it's just purchasing power and bargain and using people as trade. And all of that is really a sad one. So yes, poverty is, for me, kidnapping. I mean, Atiku's statement is right because, Sela, if we have a per capita income that is good, if we have our GDP per capita that is good, if we have high employment, we will not be struggling with some of these things because everybody is just trying to leave their head above water. And I recently was on a bike, and then the bike man was saying that it's because of Yahoo, okay, that internet fraud, as we call it, Yahoo here in Nigeria, that we don't have young men picking guns. And the sad reality about that is the truth. That a lot of the internet fraudsters we are having, if there was no such means, would have probably been taking arms. And we are looking at criminals that don't know how to do the computer pressing,
so
now
taking
up arms and doing kidnapping. And that is just the fact as it is in this country. And we know how money is. You want more and more and more. So that if you make a legitimate contract today and to get 10 million, you would try hard to win another contract that will give you 50 million. It's the same thing when you're doing crime. If you succeeded in stealing 10 million, tomorrow you would try hard to succeed in stealing 50 million. And this is just what we are seeing as it is in the country. So the way forward, is, of course, is fighting poverty. Let everybody's hand be busy. Let the government do something. Let our multinationals stop going because we need them for employment. Let's have a favorable condition where I can start my small business, eventually start by employing 2 people. I move to 5 people. I wake up tomorrow and my medium enterprise is able to have 20 employees, and we keep going and growing and growing. But as it is now, it is a sad reality, but we are going to keep seeing a surge in this kind of crime because it's quick money and then it's blood money, and then people are resulting to these kinds of things because the employment is actually not there. Making a decent and an earnest living becomes harder as the day goes by in the country.
Honestly, Rachel, while you were talking, I was just trying to put a number of things, and then I just couldn't wrap my head around the way things are. You made mention, or you made a valid point about the fact that for those who cannot go into Yahoo are the ones actually taking up the arms because they can actually operate that. But nevertheless, right now, the question will be who is to blame at this point in time. I mean, yes, the government have told us earlier there's no job anywhere, so go back to the farms. And then when we're saying, okay, we want to go back to the farms, and then we're having bandits stopping us from going to the farm. You have to pay a levy so you'll be able to harvest your produce on the farm. And then it looks more like the government is doing little or nothing, and then a lot of people have even lost confidence on their own government because the way things are even looking, you have to provide your own security. Just imagine, I mean, in that estate where this family were being kidnapped, how much of security was actually in that estate? Do they have the sophisticated weapons that they were supposed to have to protect this, these estate people who are actually living there? How many houses are in those estates? So you can't help but ask a number of questions. So if we're having people that are actually living in estate not being protected, and we know that they have security guard, how about people in the villages that don't have anybody apart from their vigilante that will just stay with their stones and their sticks? And then very few, we spoke about the Hunters Association that recently we are having them right now. So very few of them. And then even if you look at some of the guns they are walking around, it's nothing compared with what this bandits have. Nothing, Rachel. They're having a literal hunter's gun. That is what they are having. So you just can't help to say that we really need to advance in the way things are moving. And I believe that a lot of Nigerians are expecting the government to do something because a lot of people have even expressed their displeasure, whereby we're seeing just yesterday we were having the Armed Force Remembrance Day, and then the president had time to go for the inauguration of the Imo State governor. And a lot of people are saying, I mean, was that necessary? You didn't even, in your speech, you didn't even let the people know that, you know what, I feel the pain of the people that are going through this. You said there's security in Imo, but I believe you should get talking with one of those Imo indigents. They will tell you that we are not sure that we are secured. How about the jobs he promised? I mean, we remember during his campaign in September, he said that he promises 4,000 jobs to youth in Europe, and a lot of youths were happy. But then you have to ask the governor of Imo State, are you sure you can provide the job? So a lot of things are happening, just like you mentioned. I think it's because a lot of people are idle, and that is why we're having crime increasing by the day. So I think it is the sole responsibility of the government to say, you know what, we need to provide jobs, because if people are busy doing something legit, nobody will have time to be thinking of crime. If you know that, I mean, my minimum wage would do something. Remember, there was a time we're having a show in Dailies, I think last year or so, and where we saw one of the students during the strike was bold enough to call us on the show and say, you know what, because school is on strike, I'm into Yahoo business. You can catch me if you can. And I was like, wow, what an audacity coming from somebody. You even gave us your location. So that is to say that a lot of people are not even afraid. They rather die trying than never trying. So I just hope that we'll get to that point that will not give a reason why we get into certain crime. Rather, we'll see the government giving the youths, especially, a reason why they need to stay back and then providing them with good jobs. Now, let's quickly round up. I mean, let's take a look at corruption. I mean, we've been talking about eradicating it, and then we've seen that issue of the humanitarian affair Right now, we've seen that the interior minister is on the spotlight
He
now,
is, yeah.
coming from the CCS, because he's supposed to go through an interrogation today and the issue of the scandal of about 438 million naira, because his account was actually linking to it, saying that there was a particular account that the money was sent, and then he's coming out to say that, I mean, since 2019 I have nothing, I no longer run that account, so what is all of this thing? But then I think the investigation will actually give us more answers, because not only is he having a case with the CCS, we're also having a case in the US firm as well of something else that he has done. So you just can't help to wonder. I mean, our ministers are coming in the same way we're having an ex-minister as well, that of Charles, where we're seeing that there was a loan fraud, and you just can't help to wonder, I mean, what is really happening? So there's so much of money like this in Nigeria, Rachel, and there people are crying, hungry in the village. So you ask questions, what really is happening? I'm happy that this interrogation is going on, but then we need to come to a place whereby we need to correct these things. We need to prevent it before even saying we'll correct it, because believe you me, Rachel, I don't know if we're going to get every of this money back, but then we need to do something to make sure that, you know what, we close every space that makes it easy for our ministers to feel that, you know what, I mean, I can have a soil day, I mean, eat Nigerian money. After all, what is it? National cake. So right now, our fingers are just crossed to see how this whole case is going to unfold, and then we hope to get good answers eventually.
I mean, Sally, honestly, even if Tunji Ojo is saying that he stopped being the director in the firm, it doesn't stop him or rule him out from being the firm, because we know how firms operate. You have partnership. One person doesn't own a law firm. Exactly. So even if you're not the active director there, it doesn't mean that you're not a stakeholder or a shareholder or a partner in that firm. You might not be actively there, but you could still be having some shares or some ownership or partnership in that firm, as long as it's not that you have dropped yourself and said, I'm no longer a practicing law practitioner or something like that. Now, secondly, for me, is already criminal for humanitarian affairs ministry to pay consultancy fee to another firm. Now, we know how the government system works, we know how ministry works, we know how the EFCC have for example, now the EFCC, of course, do have their lawyers. They have their law department, where they have their senior advocates when they have any issues that it has to do with law,
legal things,
any legal, exactly. So the word I was looking for is they have their legal team. Exactly. Now, every ministry is supposed to have its legal team. When any legal issue arises, they already have a team on ground, and these people are employed by the ministry, be it parastatal, be it any government agency, have a legal team within that agency, and it cuts across all. So why are you, as a ministry, paying consultation fee to a law firm when you are expected to have a legal team within your ministry? That already says foul play on so many levels.
Very true.
Because why are you having a legal team that you are paying and then still paying money outside for consultation from a legal firm outside? So we are seeing misappropriation of funds on every kind of level, and that's already a crime on its own. Even if it is 10,000 naira, as little as that you paid outside, is misappropriation of fund, because it's expected that your legal team is to do whatever bidding
findings they need
exactly
to do.
You have with whoever, whatever legal issues you have in your ministry. So why are we having a sum? And then first of all is consultation. What are you consulting, Sele, that is worth 438 million naira? That's outrageous, and that's also the red flag. Again, we can go on and say, and then so let the digging just keep happening, because in the end, you saying you are no longer a director there or having working under the firm directly doesn't stop you from being a partner, doesn't stop you from being tied to that firm until there is a digging, and for sure you are not tied in whatsoever angle to this firm. Then then before you can exempt yourself from it. But as long as there is something tying you to that firm, then there is a question mark, and then that should be thoroughly looked into.
You know, sometimes, Rachel, when you listen to some of these leaders or some of our ministers, you just can't help but wonder, where did you get all these pickup lines to just give, and then you think that Nigerians or the EFCC or the CCS could actually just see, you know what, okay, it's all right. Rachel, believe you me, this is, you just like you said, there's more digging. Right now we're having the interior minister. Tomorrow you never can tell which ministry will come, and then here another consultation fee again being paid, and then you ask, are you actually running this consultation? Is that ministry for an individual? Because when it's called a ministry, just like you rightly stated, there are other people that should be working alongside. So you shouldn't even have anything that has to do with money personally. This should be a ministry to a ministry, whereby this legal team will check into. All right, we're seeing that this law firm is actually, he said he stopped being the director since 2019. So just like you said, that doesn't stop you from being implicated. Eventually, that means you still have something with that firm. So right now, we just hope that we'll still keep our fingers crossed, because I know that this case is far from being over. A lot of digging is still going on, and I believe that more people will be exposed. But we really have to applaud the ministry, the administration, for doing a job well done. Just like we said yesterday, we just hope it will not be after the smaller fishes. They should go on the we have other bigger fishes that are actually having a soil time, so they should go after them as well. Let us see that we have a clean system, and believe me, when we fight corruption, you see that even crime eventually will go down drastically. The issue of insecurity, Rachel, these people are not operating alone. They have bigger people that are actually pressing the buttons. You go do this. Some people are just killing for fun, and you wonder, I mean, how heartless can certain people get to the fact that this thing is happening just for your own fun? So we'll just keep our eyes open, and we hope that we'll see that more things will be done to make sure that, you know what, crime, corruption, insecurity, we'll be able to tackle it, and then we'll have that Nigeria that we all dream to have. It will not be that we are the giant of Africa by mouth or by words, no. But that by action, a lot of African countries will say, you know what, Nigerians are actually serious, and they really want to make it up. So our fingers are crossed on that. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for doing this with me. And also thank you to our viewers for keeping it in with us on this program. Please do remember that by 6 p.m. we shall be looking at the entire verdict, starting from Friday and other verdict that have been going on, and then presently the one that we shall be having today for Nasarawa State. So you keep a date with us from 6 to 8, where we shall be unfolding all of these things. All right, until we come your way tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.